So I'm also admitting people that I know here to speed it up. Okay. All right, so now it's almost the time.後藤さん。後藤さん、地球研究センター様。
それも入れてください。3名。
はい、了解です。
はい。
OK です。
Marie?
Yes.
Can you make Kumiko co-host?
Sure. Here you go. Okay. Okay, good morning and a good evening to all. Thank you very much for joining the Canadian Olympian and Paralympian panel discussion with Host Town Miyazaki. This event is organized by the Japan-Canada Chamber of Commerce, or JCCRC, and the Jet Alumni Association of BC, or Jet ABC, supported by Vector International Academy. My name is Mary Cato. I'm a JCCRC director, principal of Vector International Academy, and your MC today. Before we get into the meeting, I just wanted to go over today's meeting guidelines. First, please mute your microphone until you are asked to talk. And the second, please turn on your video if it's possible, because we would like to see all of you there. And then the third one is if you have any questions or messages to the athletes, and please feel free to use the chat function so that we can collect your messages to send them to the athletes later. It's a great honor to be joined by two world-class athletes from Canada today. And today's event offers a great opportunity for many people, actually. So let me just introduce how the project started. This project started under the Host Town Initiative to connect Team Canada and the host towns in Japan. And this time we are going to connecting Liz and Jessica and the Miyazaki City. Also from the Miyazaki City, we are having 22 university students from Miyazaki Municipal University and one student from Miyazaki University. Also, everyone, thank you for joining us today from our organizations. And also, this event is currently live streamed on the YouTube account of Vector International Academy. So I'm very happy to be able to connect so many people from all over the world. So before we get into it, let me just give you the brief bio of Liz and Jessica who are joining us today. Liz Gleadle. Liz is a track and field athlete in javelin from Vancouver, BC. She competed in London Olympics in 2012 and in Rio in 2016 too. She is the most known as the first Canadian woman to qualify for javelin in the Olympic final since 1968. And Jessica is a very competing para swimmer and triathlete from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. She competed in Paralympics before in Sydney in 2000, in Athens in 2004, Beijing in 2008. She has been also competing in para triathlon world championships since 2017. And as you can see, her team is climbing up the ladder to the top bit by bit. Okay. Before we get into the panel discussion, I just would like to introduce officials from Miyazaki City joining us today. Mr. Takashi Nakamura and Ms. Riko Tatsumoto are joining us from the Project Financial Department of Miyazaki City. Thank you for joining us today. And Ms. Tatsumoto today will introduce what their city's charms are and how the Miyazaki City has been preparing for the Olympics. Then Ms. Tatsumoto, please.
こんにちは. Thank you for having us today. We are very happy to be here. I'm Riko Tatsumoto and he's Nakamura-san. We work at Miyazaki City Hall. Today we came here to introduce Miyazaki City to you. じゃあ、紙共有お願いします。Miyazaki City is located South Japan, 90 minutes flight from Tokyo. 画面変わってますか？
はい、変わりました。
はい。The population is about 400,000. Miyazaki City is famous as a city for sports and tourism because of its warm and mild climate all year round. So many Japanese professional baseball and soccer teams come and train in their off-season every year. International sports competition also held in Miyazaki City, such as Triathlon World Cup or World Surfing Games. Blessed with the warm weather, and it is said to be a region of mythology and legend. Downtown Nishitachibana-dori is crowded with many people on weekends that come to enjoy good foods and have a good time. Popular Miyazaki dishes among tourists are Miyazaki beef and charcoal grilled chicken. In addition, Miyazaki beef has won the Prime Minister's awards 3 times in a row. When you come to Miyazaki City, please enjoy them. Well, on September 8, 2019, Triathlon Canada and Miyazaki City concluded a basic agreement on acceptance of pre-camps. And on October 19, 2020, we held a Canadian Host Town Festa so that Miyazaki people could know more about Canada. We shaped and planted flowers as seen on the Canadian flag. Also, we had sweets project. The sweets were created by high school and college students based on their image of Canada and sold. Also, we had a welcome special guest from the Canadian Olympic Committee, Mr. Cormack, to Miyazaki City. We show him around the place where the triathlon pre-camps are going to be situated. This man who is smiling with Mr. Cormack is Tadashi Tojiki, the mayor of Miyazaki City. Now that the coronavirus is spreading and changing things around the world, and we can't predict the future. But we, the people of Miyazaki, are still preparing for welcoming you. Also, we will be very happy if one of you is interested in visiting Miyazaki City. We are looking forward to seeing you all in Miyazaki City this summer. If you are interested in Miyazaki City, please check our YouTube channel called Miyazaki Style English Version. I hope you will enjoy it. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we know Miyazaki's attractions, and I'm personally attracted by the delicious specialties like beef and chicken. Okay, please everyone check out the places in the foods of Miyazaki if you have a chance to go there. Then, now it's time, let's get it started to start the panel discussion. Today I have several questions to ask Liz and Jessica that everybody probably would like to ask some top athletes. So the first question is, it's very easy. Please introduce yourself and your sport. I'm just going to change my background so that you wouldn't forget what I'm asking you. Okay. Then this time we're going to start with Liz. Then please introduce yourself and your sport.
Hi, I'm Liz Gleadle. I throw javelin. That's one of my javelins back there against the wall. I have the Canadian record for women's javelin. I have thrown almost 65 meters, and I've been throwing javelin since I was 12, so almost 20 years now. I never thought I would be doing javelin as my job or for 3 Olympics, so I'm training for my 3rd Olympics, but I'm very excited to keep going, and I'm really excited for this year. Japan is it is one of my favorite countries in the world to visit. I've been there multiple times for the Osaka Grand Prix and the Tokyo Grand Prix, and I love it. So I'm very excited to go back, even if situations are a little bit different with COVID. I still think it's going to be very, very exciting. In javelin, we have 6 chances to throw the javelin at any meet. So I take my turn, and then everybody else takes their turn, and then we go around again. And then after 3 throws, we cut it down to 8 people. So there are only 8 people remaining. We take another 3 throws, and then the best throw in the event is what wins. It's not the average or the addition of all the distances of the throws, but the best throw that only counts. So you only need one good one. That's pretty much everything you need to know about javelin. You try and throw it as far as possible, and you try and be perfect.
All right, thank you very much. Then let's move on to, by the way, javelin is 槍投げですね。槍投げの選手です。Javelin throw. Okay, then next is Jessica, it's your turn.
Hi, everyone. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I also really enjoyed Japan. I've been to Japan. It was our staging country when I was swimming before we went to Beijing. And I'm a part of Triathlon Canada. So we actually were in Miyazaki. It seems like yesterday, but it was really during the test event. So in 2019. And I really enjoyed Miyazaki, and I did try the Miyazaki beef, and it is amazing. I am a para-triathlete, which means that I compete. I'm completely blind, and so I compete with a guide, and that's another person who basically is my eyes for my race, and we work as a team together. And my race consists of swim, bike, and run. And I don't know why they call it a sprint distance, but it takes over an hour, so I don't think that's a sprint. And I'm very excited to return to Japan, and as Liz said, things might be a little bit different this time around, but I still think it's going to be completely amazing. I'm also a little bit maybe biased about Japan and possibly Miyazaki, because I'm not sure what happened, because I won the test event in Tokyo and I wasn't really supposed to. So I think there was some kind of magic going on. So I'm ready to come back.
All right, thank you very much. I just wanted to ask some more questions. Liz, honestly speaking, I haven't really seen anybody throwing the javelin really in person. And I just wondered how long it usually takes for you to be on the field to get your turn done.
So we have 1 minute. So the last thrower, someone throws, and then the officials measure. So they take out the tape and they measure. And then once the officials leave the runway, the designated javelin area, then your clock starts and you have 1 minute, which is a lot of time. My javelin runway, from when I first start moving till when I release it, takes me under 5 seconds. So you really have that full minute to, walk to the runway, stand at the top, visualize once, and then take your throw. And if you mess up and you trip a little bit, you have time to run back and do it again.
Right. Well, you have only 1 minute, and you said that that's a long time. It's kind of amazing to me, but that definitely requires a lot of amount of attention, and that 5 minutes. Okay, and then another question actually to Jessica next. You just said that there are three, in the triathlon, there are three sports that you have to cover, of course, swimming, biking, and the last one is a sprint distance, but I would probably call it more like a marathon. As you said, it takes about an hour. So which one do you like the best?
So everyone thinks that I like swimming the most because that was the sport that I originally competed in, but I actually really enjoy the bike the most because as a visually impaired athlete, I ride a tandem bike. So my guide is on the front because she needs to see where we're going. And I ride on the back. And it's really, really cool feeling because you can feel the power of the two of you working together. And it's kind of like dancing. I love it.
Wow. Interesting expression. Thank you. All right, then let's move on to the second question that I have here. And that's what probably everybody really wants to hear. What was the biggest challenge you have had as an athlete? And how did you overcome it? Then this one, let's start with Jessica.
That's actually a tough question because I think as athletes, we go through periods where we're tested at different times, and some challenges are just as difficult as others. You just find new ways to work around them. One of my biggest challenges from a sporting perspective is that I did come from swimming, and so learning how to run has been really, really challenging for me. I've ended up with a lot of injuries, and it gets frustrating when every 4 to 6 months your shins are fracturing, like literally fracturing. And you kind of wonder, like, should I continue doing this? Because you're actually causing damage to your body. So I think that's probably been one of my biggest challenges, but I just love the sport so much and the challenge of triathlon because there are so many moving parts that I didn't give up. And then I think mentally and emotionally, the most challenging part for me has been I've moved away from all of my friends and family to pursue triathlon. And so I have an amazing support system in my teammates and my coaches, but I'm really on my own. So like that's been a little bit hard. And especially with the coronavirus, things are even a little more isolated than before. So those have been my two big challenges.
Sounds very painful. How about you, Liz? What story do you have?
I have lots of injury stories, and there's definitely been some different strange things that have happened to me. But the one that was it's a story I tell the most because it is the most visually appealing injury. I was getting ready for my first track and field or my first Olympics, and it was actually my first Team Canada meet that wasn't for junior or youth, so it was the first big meet. And I moved to this place that felt like, to me, the middle of nowhere because I moved from Vancouver, which has almost 1 million people, to a place with only 60,000 people, and so it was a big switch, but it was this amazing place to train. And we could train indoors, so we had this net that fell from the ceiling, and I could throw a javelin into it, so I could run and throw. And I also trained with a hammer thrower who was the Canadian record holder. And a hammer is a 16-pound ball on the end of a wire, and they spin, and then they throw it. And he had thrown this hammer almost 80 meters, having the Canadian record. And we trained together, which was really neat. But I didn't know that hammer wires could snap. And so we were at practice, and I was standing in the wrong place. It was my fault. And the hammer wire snapped, and it hit me in the leg. And I believe, Murray, do you have the picture? Yeah. So that's my leg. And it was the biggest bruise I've ever had. It was from my knee to my hip. For Jessica, my leg was just a big purple blue mess. And I couldn't train for a month. And I remember at that time I was training 10 times per week between Monday and Friday. And for 1 month I could not train at all. And so this was a really good opportunity to learn how to do recovery and to learn how strong my mind was. And that's when I started meditating and visualizing all my throws instead of taking them. And for about 4 or 6 weeks, I visualized twice per day instead of throwing. And I took 3 ice baths in the morning and 3 ice baths in the afternoon, 5 days a week, to try and heal my leg. And I ended up having an amazing comeback. I broke the Canadian record. I threw 61 meters at the time so that I could make the Olympic team. I needed to break my own Canadian record to make the Olympic team. And then I became the first woman to ever make the Olympic final in my event for Team Canada. And that was the biggest challenge in a way, because I couldn't just do what my coach was telling me to do, and I couldn't just work. I had to problem solve and figure out how I was going to make it and not just follow a program. So it was very empowering, but it was also a very, very challenging time because I didn't know if I was going to do it and had to come up with the solution very quickly. So that's probably one of my biggest struggles, is just constantly overcoming injury. And it's very rewarding because you find a way to get back or be even better than before.
Very strong mentality. Oh, that picture really gonna freak me out. So just simply painful. I haven't really seen such a big bruise in my life. And my daughter has just a little bruise, and she says, "Mom, am I okay?" And yeah, okay, it's gonna be gone tomorrow. Such a big bruise. So yes, I actually have a small question to both of you. Jessica, you also talked about your injuries. And then your injuries, athletes' injuries, just like, Liz showed us the picture. The athletes' injuries could be really deep and big, and, you take a long time to heal. It's not really like me, falling in tripping in the yard. So I just wonder what kind of methods do you usually use to recover from the injury? What is the kind of best way to, bring yourself back to the best condition?
Currently unmuted.
Sorry, I was muted. I think would kind of be along the same lines as Liz. I've never actually used visualization the way Liz was describing it, but that sounds incredible and very powerful. But you learn how strong your mind is, and you do small things. So like Liz was saying, I've done ice baths. I live on the coast, and it's a really cold ocean. So a lot of the times I'll go and stick my legs in that. Strangely enough, I found that hydration, so just making sure that I'm drinking enough water and electrolytes and that kind of stuff has helped a lot. And I don't know if it's just something that my brain has decided is helpful or if it actually does help, but either way, it makes me feel better. So
yeah, it's actually important to connect your mind and then your muscle, right? You're going to be believing in it, and it might kind of happen, of course. And then a question from me to Liz is, it was amazing when I heard that you said that recovery process itself was kind of rewarding to you. And then I actually teach English, and I teach English to many Japanese people who are known to be not so good at mastering the second language that much. And it has been really difficult actually to me and to my students all the time for the last 20 years. And each time my students get in some kind of slump, I always just tell them that, oh, you are lucky. Actually, you can kind of once you come out from the slump, you are probably stronger, you're better, and then you're kind of faster learner. What do you think about this? Like after you get injured or after you have some kind of big difficulty or hardship, and then do you think that you can get stronger? In what kind of sense?
Yeah, I've kind of adopted this mentality that when something bad happens or you get injured, or for me, I had my appendix out, or, you have to change coaches, or something happens that's unexpected and that somehow stops your progress, or it feels like your progress is stopped, or you feel like you're working, but nothing's really you don't feel like you're making a big jump. And it's interesting because it provides you an opportunity to look for a different way to improve. And when you start looking for these different ways to improve, that's when you make the biggest leaps in learning, because you start connecting it to different things. And whether you know it or not, in the background, in your brain, you are learning. And it's just making more connections. So I like to say, it's not often that you're not learning new things, but you're making stronger connections to old things so that they can come up faster. And that's what I found when I was learning German. I was teaching myself German so I could speak to one of my coaches. And I would just feel like I wasn't making any progress. And then I'd give up on German for like 2 months. I'd be like, okay, I don't feel like it. And then she would send me an email and I could read it. And it would be like, I could read all of it so quickly. And I was like, wow, my brain was working all this time in the background. And I just need to trust it. Because becoming frustrated isn't necessarily about, it's not necessarily that you're failing. It's just that you have to remember that your brain is going to catch up in different ways than you expect. So I've kind of found that with track and field as well, is that when I feel like I'm just doing all the little things right every single day, I have to remind myself that progress comes when you are patient. And just that's what athletes do. We do the same things over and over and over and over again. And we're not doing anything special any one day. We've just decided to stick with it. And we've adopted this mentality of, I'm willing to do something and to be frustrated constantly, but to be okay with being frustrated. And if you can stick with it long enough, that's when you get better. Where other people decide they don't want to do it anymore, when you stick with it just a little longer, that's when the breakthrough comes. And so just the longer you can be patient at anything you're learning, I find that that's when you really get the big results. But you need to be really patient and be really nice to yourself.
That's also very important. Yes, because you're living with, your mind is living in the body. So if one of them kind of goes out of the balance, it's very difficult for anybody to push yourself forward. So yes, it's very important too. So once you said that, oh, you're doing the same thing again and over and over and over, and then Jessica also smiled. Yes, exactly. There's a lot of students here joining us today are also kind of working on something that they would like to achieve and working on it again and again and again. Very difficult to stick to one thing, no matter what it is. So I'm very glad that we can kind of learn that point from the top athletes like you two today. All right, then time is ticking, so I kind of have to move on to the third question that I have here. Is I kind of had to change my alrighty. The third question here is, I kind of skipped the second one, but this one is very easy. But what is your next goal, including the Tokyo Olympics and all other domestic and international games? Then this one, let's start with Liz, please.
All right. My next goal, for the longest time, I always said like it was my goal to win the Olympics. And I would love to win the Olympics, don't get me wrong. But I've changed that because I don't control what someone else throws. I don't. Someone could have an amazing, really far throw and they could just beat me. And it has nothing to do with how hard I tried or how well I threw. So my goal for this Olympic Games is to throw a personal best in the Olympic Stadium in the final. So I want to throw my best throw ever in the final. And when I think about these big goals, what I do is I break them down into smaller ones. So I say, okay, I have this huge goal. I want to perform at my best at the Olympics. I want to break the Canadian record, preferably the world record, but I'll settle for Canadian. And then I say, okay, what qualities do I have that make it so that I have this nice foundation for the reason why I could potentially do this? And I say, I'm very strong. I have a great mindset. I meditate. I design my own training program. I'm very, very focused, and I visualize every throw before I do it so that it's like I've done each throw twice. These are all reasons why that I think like I have a really good foundation. Then I say, okay, what's one goal, one small goal that could bridge the gap that would get me one step closer? And then I say, okay, for example, it was doing one-armed handstands, because that means that my shoulders would be very strong. And so I tell myself every day, I'm like, I'm willing to believe that I could do a one-armed handstand, and this will make me better at throwing javelin. And so I would try and I would try and I would try and I would fail, or I'd get closer, but then I'd fail again. And then one day I did it, and I was like, this is an indicator that I am one step closer to my goal. And then it's one more thing that I have to remind myself that I can achieve any goal I set. And they can be little ones and they can be big ones. And a bunch of little goals eventually lead up to the big one. So that's kind of how I set my goals. And I think it's fun because then you get little points of success as you go, instead of just feeling like you're working for 8 months. So, you know, your goal shouldn't be to have a huge conversation in English. It should be to be able to, you know, order coffee and then book a hotel, and then, you know, like little things. And so I feel like, and it's important to say, like, I did a really good job and I'm rewarding myself and I'm proud of myself. So never downplay your small successes.
Exactly. Yes. They are all leading to the biggest success eventually, like each step, one by one. All right. Thank you. Then once more, let me just reiterate the question. So what is your next goal? Jessica, your turn.
Currently unmuted. Press.
So my current goal, my guide and I are working towards Tokyo. We have qualified currently. So that's pretty exciting. And that was my initial goal. And since we've achieved that, we had to come up with a new one. And so we both have agreed that we would like, obviously, a medal from Tokyo. You know, athletes don't do this to not win medals. But I think it's interesting. I don't know, maybe Liz and I are the same person kind of, but I also have to be realistic and realize that, like, I could go out there and have the best race of my life, which is my goal, but someone else out there could just happen to be faster that day. And I can't control what they've done or how much experience they have or what their training looks like. And so all of these things are out of our control. And the only thing we can control is go in and have the best race that we possibly can. And that's my goal. And again, like Liz, I've broken them down into smaller goals. How do we get there? And it kind of surrounds my reasoning for doing what I'm doing. And I want to be the best athlete I can be. And in doing that, I go to practice every day with intention of working hard and being present and trusting the process of what my coach is asking me to do. And that in and of itself gives me confidence when we step onto the international stage and start racing, or the national stage, wherever we are. So and it's really important to celebrate those small successes, because the big ones take longer to get to. So you really need to recognize when something small and wonderful happens.
My audio.
The most difficult, I would say, is exactly what you said. Like, if there are millions of small steps before the biggest goal, and people tend to stop and give up in the middle. And then I'm a teacher, so I kind of try to push my students, no, one more step, just 1 millimeter ahead, 2 millimeters ahead. But sometimes they don't really see, or we don't really see, what is that biggest goal waiting for you ahead. Is it really waiting? It's such a feeling, kind of unsureness, and it's kind of sometimes disappoints you and then discourages you. And I'm kind of trying to overlap myself, and that's kind of most difficult point to myself too. But one more thing is we tend to compare ourselves with other people. And both of you actually mentioned that part. You know, that person happens to run faster. That person happens to be able to throw the javelin a little bit more than you. Just happens to be, right? And that person just happens to be outstanding. But isn't it kind of difficult to focus on yourself without comparing yourself with other people, especially when you are in a game, Liz?
Yes and no. Just because I throw javelin a little bit differently than other people. I run a lot slower. It's a big joke within the javelin community. Liz runs really slowly, but her arm is very fast. And so it's kind of fun. So I have my own unique style. But, you know, if you're comparing yourself at the Olympic Games, it's a little late. And that's the great thing about the internet and Instagram, is I can see what other people are doing, and it's actually very useful. So yesterday, for example, I took a video from my competitor's page, and she hits this fantastic position in javelin. And I was like, yes, like this is what I'm trying to do. This is the thing that I want. And right now I have a picture of her and a picture of me at the exact same moment in the throw. And every day I look at it and I'm like, okay, yes, this is me, and this is what I want to look like. So I think comparison can be incredibly helpful, but once you're at the games, there's no point in worrying about it at that point. Your style is your style, and you have what you have, and you might as well be proud of it. So, yeah.
You compare to get some good points, get some good things from other people. Yes. How about you, Jessica? Isn't it difficult to stop comparing yourself with other swimmers or triathletes?
Currently unmuted.
I think in some ways I'm actually kind of lucky. I can't see my competitors, so I choose not to pay attention to what they're doing. I could ask my guide and find out what they're doing, but for me, I've noticed just through racing and my own experiences that I do better if I stay in my own space and in my own head. When the race starts getting tough at the end, my idea is usually, if you're going to catch me, you better be tired by the time you get here. So I think maybe I use that as fuel, but I really don't compare myself to other athletes because we all come from different backgrounds and varying visual acuity levels. Some of us can see a little bit, some of us can't see at all. Some of us have been working with our guides for 3 years. Some of us have been working with our guides for 6 months. There are so many different factors. And so I think it is good to look at your competitors the way Liz does and take from them what could possibly make you stronger. I hope my competitors can do that, because if they're looking at me and comparing themselves and being like, well, we should do it this way, then that means I'm worth comparing to. They think I'm fast enough. And I do look at other athletes in that way, and that, you know, how can we make our team stronger? But then it always goes back to focusing on my guide and I, and the really cool stuff that we have between the two of us.
Interesting that both of you are comparing yourself with other athletes to get some positive points to improve yourself more. Well, I know it's very difficult, especially for young people these days in this, Instagram and Facebook, and those things are really kind of helping them and pushing them, urging them to compare their lives, themselves and their looks with other people all the time. But comparison is not that bad. That's what I learned from you. Yeah, compare it for a different purpose, to make yourself stronger and then improve your skills more. And also another thing that I learned is, well, this is like a cliche, but patience. Patience is all the time important. Never give up in the middle, but patience. But I just found that the great confidence that both of you, of course, have as a high-performing athletes. And just my little question, the last minute is, do you remember when you gained the sturdy confidence that emerged in you? Of course, when you were younger, like a teenager or even before that, and you didn't really have any confidence as an athlete yet. But as you grew up, as you train yourself, is there any kind of right moment? Oh, I got my confidence. Or what's the confidence started to be built bit by bit, not like all of a sudden? Liz, what do you think?
I think when I started to care more about what I thought of myself versus what other people thought of myself, that started to help a lot. I think a lot of the time we think to ourselves, we get worried. We're like, oh my goodness, what will people think? And then the better question is, well, what person, whose opinion do you actually care about? And you're like, okay, does my father care about this? What would they think? Do my friends care about this? What would they think? And a lot of the time it's, the questions that we're asking ourselves, like, will my hair look good this way? It's like, they don't care. It's whatever you care about. And I think really identifying, like, should I do this or that? It's like, well, what would make you more proud of yourself? Because it's your life. And, unless you're going to go, do something that's really like ridiculous and awful and totally against whatever it is, like your background or your family. I think a lot of the time just reminding yourself that it's your life and you need to be proud of yourself before anyone else is. And if you like yourself, other people will like you too, because people like people who like themselves. So when I first started doing javelin, I was kind of like, oh, this is kind of a very random, strange thing that no one does. What will people think? And then people were just like, oh, that's really cool. You're doing something very different. Good for you. And I was like, yeah, good for me. This is good. And I think that was kind of it, just realizing that it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you play a sport that everybody knows about or you play a sport that no one knows about. As long as you're striving for excellence in something, or you want to be incredibly kind or good or whatever, it doesn't really matter what it is you're doing it in. It's just a vehicle to show who you are.
A vehicle to show who you are. Very interesting expression. Yes, true. Yes. I haven't seen the javelin itself real yet. Maybe I will have a chance after Corona to, when I have a chance to see Liz, and I would like to kind of touch the javelin. I kind of try to throw it myself. Maybe I can just get like 60 centimeters, but I would like to try it out myself. Jessica, what do you think about that?
Currently unmuted.
I think confidence is something that I gained. I don't ever think there was just a switch on or off. I think it was slowly gained, but I also agree with Liz in that I started caring more about what I cared rather than what everybody else thought. And that's a very good lesson that I've learned through sport. And it's a lesson that I'm starting now to be able to apply to the rest of my life, which is really important, I think. And so, and confidence also came through being able to trust and put trust out there and take a chance. So it's scary. Building confidence is actually really scary. It's not safe, but it's so worth it in the end.
Yes, a lot of times I also get really scared to try something new. I sometimes know that if I try this, and I know I would feel more confident. My students say the same thing all the time when they try something new. And as you said, Jessica, sometimes it's kind of scary, but we have to take a risk every now and then. Yes, if you're safe all the time, I also would like to keep pushing the youth back more and more. Okay. Great, thank you very much. So those are all the quizzes, questions that I had to ask you from my side, but there are 4 questions that I have received from the Miyazaki Municipal University students. And I'm just going to call out their names. So Tai, could you please spotlight them? The first student is Momoka Ikeda.
Hi.
Okay. And then the second student is Yusuke Fujiki. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And the third student is Kaito Tabata.
Hi.
Okay. And then the fourth, I'm just waiting for Tai to spotlight them. I'm just going to spotlight Kaito. All righty. Good. And then the last but not least is Miyu Hatanaka. Miyu.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi.
Okay. Tai, can you find Miyu and Yusuke? Okay, so when you are, okay. Yes, I found you. Very good, thank you. And then Miyu, yes, you can hear too. And
Hi.
Yusuke, yeah. There you go. All right, so 4 of them are all here together with me. Okay, very good. So why don't we start with Momoka? Hi, Momoka, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm good. The weather is cloudy, but I'm excited to meet online. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so you have a question to ask Liz and Jessica. All right, then what is your question?
Okay. Hello, my name is Momoka, and I'd like to ask you that what kind of songs brings your motivation high for the game?
Okay, then I'm going to start with Jessica.
Button. Currently unmuted.
So I grew up in a very kind of rural part of Canada, and so I grew up with my grandparents listening to very old country and western music, which is not my motivation music. However, I still really like country music because it sort of makes me feel at home.
The country music. I see. How about you, Liz?
I'm a little bit of everything. I have this playlist on Spotify it's called Feels Epic. And it's anything from the Batman soundtrack to Inception to like Viking soundtrack, anything that makes you feel like you're a warrior going into battle. So I sometimes use that, but I like it because there's no words. And you know how like soundtracks make you feel like you have this background to your life, and that's kind of what I like sometimes. It's definitely a good go-to when I don't want words in my head.
Right. There are lots of BGM type of songs available on YouTube these days too. And whenever they have some lyrics, and me too, I usually tend to get distracted, start to sing the song together and can't really focus on it. So we are hoping that Jessica and Liz, you can add some Japanese. We actually have lots of cheerful Japanese pop songs. So I hope that you're going to add some of them later on your Spotify. All right. Thank you. The next person, Yusuke. How about you? Yusuke? Okay. How are you today, Yusuke?
I have a little bit stomachache today.
Oh, okay. You're hanging there. Thank you. Okay.
Yes. But I feel very happy to meet nice people today.
Okay, that's good. Good to hear that. Then, what is your question?
Yes. Good morning. My name is Yusuke Fujiki. And please tell me when you feel happy as an Olympian.
Okay, we're the very top performing athletes. Then starting with Liz.
I feel happiest in the forest. I live 5 minutes away from the forest between the University of British Columbia and Vancouver. And the University of British Columbia is on a peninsula. So this is Vancouver and this is the university, and then this is the forest. And I live right here. So that's where I go a lot. I'm in there probably 2 to 3 times per week just to calm down and maybe go for a short walk or run. And yeah, it's just a very good reset. I think in Japan, do you call it forest bathing? Is that a thing? But yeah, that's kind of my happy place. Anywhere that's nature and green.
Thank you. The forest bathing is 森林浴。ね、森林浴をするのが好きってことですね。All right, then Jessica, how about your happiest moment as an athlete?
I am a forest bather as well. I love the forest. I live probably a 10 to 15-minute walk from a trail that is about a 12-kilometer trail, and it loops around a lake. And I feel very fortunate to live that close. And what makes me even happier is I take my dogs along with me into the forest. So if I have the dogs and trees, I'm very happy.
Okay, Jessica, thank you. When you talk about that endless loop in the forest and then Liz, the face got to brighten up. Really? I've got to know where it is. Okay, yeah, Canada for sure has lots of forests. And it's wonderful if you haven't already come to Canada. And then I really strongly recommend that you should after the pandemic. We have lots of nature, we have nice ocean, and we have nice people and wonderful top athletes. So please do come and visit us. All right, then the third question by Kaito.
Hi.
Kaito, how are you? Are you as happy as usual today?
Yeah, could be better. Awesome today.
Okay, then what's your question?
Okay. Hi, I'm glad to meet you, Liz and Jessica. My name is Kite, and my question is how to challenge yesterday's yourself. Thank you.
How to kind of go over yesterday's yourself, then let's start with Jessica. It's a very difficult question. I'm so, all ears.
Currently unmuted.
I don't know if I can go first. I have to think about this. No, that's a good question. I think there are a couple ways, but one way is that I know that I'm training for a team. There's two of us. And so if I'm struggling with motivation, sometimes I think about how hard she's working and how I want to hold up my end of the bargain. I also am just very appreciative, and I feel privileged to be able to be trying to go to my 4th Paralympic Games. And so that's where I managed to find motivation and challenge myself from, yesterday was hard. How do I do things better today? And it's just because this isn't an opportunity that a lot of people get, and I'm just really grateful that I have it, and I don't want to waste it.
Okay, thank you. Well, you said that you have more minutes, but you're very, good talker. Okay, thank you. How about you, Liz? How do you challenge?
I do a couple things. So I like to say you have to be a little bit self-aware before you're aware of what it is you're trying to do. So I write every day. I start my day by writing for about 30 minutes, and it's about anything. It's about track, it's about relationships, it's about my friends, it's about what I think about my future, maybe something that troubled me, because I think that gives me a lot of clarity. And then I write down, I'm like, okay, I kind of get it off my chest, and then I say, what do I want out of my day? What is important to me? And this is really important because it helps me set a priority every single day. And it's not about setting some new priority. It's often just recommitting to the exact same thing. And I find it's really, really helpful because if I turn on my phone before I've done this, then I get an email asking for help. I get a text message, wanting to gossip. I look on Instagram and it's telling me to buy shoes. And if I do this before I've had my own thoughts, then I get distracted and I want to help other people, or I want to do something, or I feel like I have to do something. And then I feel like I am pulled in 20 different directions and no clear path forward. So we are a blank slate in the morning. Our brains are just malleable and empty. And I like to use that time to say, okay, what do I care about today? I care about my recovery, or I care about spending time with my family, or I really care about having a really focused training session, which means I probably want to stretch or eat or do this beforehand. So for me, it's waking up every day and saying, what do I care about the most today? And how am I going to get that one thing done? And it doesn't have to be filling your day front to back. It's just saying, okay, like if there was one thing that I did today that I'd be proud of myself for, that moved my life forward, what would it be? And you just do that every day. So that's kind of how I motivate myself, is just reminders of what do I care about? What do I need to do to move it forward?
So it's a very difficult question, actually. But kind of stay away from a phone for a while to have some more moments to focus on your own day. It's very difficult too. Actually, I know young people, your days are very busy, but it's sometimes very important to stay away and walk around the forest. Okay. That can give you kind of wonderful feeling too, for sure. Okay, last but not least is Miyu. Hi, Miyu. How are you today?
I'm good, but I'm a little bit nervous.
Oh, okay. Sorry to keep you wait until the last minute. Okay, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Miyu Hatakenaka. I'm from Kyoto. My question is, how much alcohol do you drink every day?
How much alcohol? Okay. Then this time, Liz, it should be Liz. Okay, you want to go first?
Yeah, I don't drink anymore. I used to. I used to have red wine like 5 nights a week. In university, I drank way more. Unhealthy amount, I'll be totally honest. I don't like what it does to my sleep anymore. I don't like the way it makes me feel when I wake up. And now I am hungover at night when I've had 2 drinks. So it's not worth it anymore. yeah, plus during the pandemic, there's no reason. I don't need it. I have other things to do. So yeah, no hate for anybody else who does it. It just definitely it disturbs my sleep way too much, and I'm so unhappy the next day that it's not worth it.
I kind of have to ask you how you stopped drinking, though. I really like red wine too, and you said I used to, but that means actually you are not drinking anymore now. So I need to talk to you again about that. Okay, Jessica, how about you? How much alcohol do you drink?
I do drink. I don't drink a lot because it does dehydrate me, and I'm like Liz. I don't like the way I feel when I wake up in the morning. It really disturbs my sleep. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I'm a much older athlete, and I need my sleep. And I don't know. I like going to bed and having this wonderful sleep and waking up in the morning, just feeling really good. So I might have like a glass of wine on a Saturday or maybe a Friday night, but not a lot. And it's usually when I just have people to sit and chat with. It's just sort of a social thing, I guess. But I'm sorry, one of my dogs is contributing to the conversation. But yeah, so I do drink, but not a lot.
All right, thank you very much. So yeah, we have to learn from that too. Not much alcohol, and then instead, do you drink like water or some kind of like a sport drink or tea, or Liz, what do you drink then? Just water?
Water. I drink coffee. I actually just started today not drinking coffee for the next little while. And I've drank coffee every single day of my life since I was 17. So I'm 32. So this is a real challenge for me. But I was like, last night, I was like, I think I could do it. I think I could just not have so much caffeine all the time. And I want to see how it affects me because I don't even know because I have it all the time.
Right.
So yeah, at night though, I have like sparkling water. I like to do with like sparkling water with like a soda stream and like a lime. That's kind of something I like to have. Yeah, and tea. Yeah. No pop or anything. I don't really like it. It spikes my blood sugar, which spikes my insulin, which makes me not able to fall asleep. So just more things about sleep. It's like if it ruins my sleep, I don't have it.
I see. Yes, sleep time is very important for you to focus. Jessica, you drink water?
Currently unmuted.
I tend to drink water. I actually really like water. Sometimes I'll throw an electrolyte tab in it just to give it flavor. I do drink tea, especially this time of year. It's kind of cold and damp and yucky. And my dog is still talking. Sorry.
No, don't worry.
But yeah, so I do drink a lot of water. Yeah, I do drink coffee, probably in the morning. That's it. I'm sorry, I'm not giving that up. You're brave, Liz.
Yeah, you need it. Liz, you too. You need it.
I have to say, though, I've had Bakari Sweat. It's the best thing ever. It's so good. Wonderful Japanese drink.
Right. All right. Thank you very much. Then thank you to 4 students. For asking some questions. And then now it's time for everybody to join together. And then I just would like to wrap this up. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us today. And then time is nearly up. So I'm just would like to take some group photos now. So if you do not like to be in the photo, and you can just turn off your video or you can leave here. Okay, I'm just going to wait for about 10 minutes or so. Okay. All right, and then also this actually shared on a YouTube video where you can see how she is throwing the javelin, and then you can find it in the chat function right now. So please refer to it. Okay, so now I see all of you here. Your face is here. Kaito, I can't see you. Do you think you can turn on the camera or? Yeah, okay, thank you very much.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Thank you. I just wanted to see your face here. All right, then I have 2 pages on my computer and I can't really say who is on which page. So I'm just going to take 2 photos here and I'm going to say 3, 2, 1. So everybody's going to smile twice, please. All right, then we're going to start with the first photo. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, smile. All right, thank you very much. Then let's move on to the second page. Is everyone ready? 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, thank you very much. All righty. So thank you for, especially Liz and Jessica, thank you very much for having spent your precious time during the very, very intensive training toward the Olympic Games and shared inspiring stories and perspectives with us. I also learned quite a lot too. And then thank you to Mr. Nakamura and Ms. Tatsumoto to introduce Miyazaki City to all of us. And Liz and Jessica, we are all rooting for you from Canada, from Japan, wherever you are and wherever we are. So we're just keeping our fingers crossed. All the best for you. And all the audiences, thank you who joined us today. Thank you once more. And then this is the time for me to wrap up. So I hope you have a wonderful day today. Okay, thank you very much and hope to see everybody once more. Thank you. Bye.